So a lot of times people aren't building any type of relationship because they don't see immediate conversion value in the person that they're talking with, and that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You can't put a sales conversion tag on every single thing that you do on the internet or anywhere. Nobody's buying. Well, but you had a really great conversation with another human, and now you understand each other better. You're getting data about how people think and what makes them tick. And you're branding yourself as another human, which is awesome. You've got to make that communication.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.
Hello.
It's I'm going to give away Molly's book. I'm going to give away a month of training, but specific to the Y bell. Are you guys familiar with the Y bell?
Nope.
It's triangular shaped dumbbell. So it can double as a dumbbell and a kettlebell, but also as like a push-up stand, and also a two-handed medicine ball. It's called Y. Nice. The letter Y dash BELL. Yeah, I'm gonna give away a whole set. Like it's
Cool.
yeah.
Wow.
It's the big giveaway. Like it's
nice.
It's big.
I want to win.
Yeah, and you
allowed to be in the contest game.
Oh,
you should want to win. But I like it. I like that you want to win. That's important to me. So I'm gonna set up a separate drawing for you. You're not gonna actually win anything, but it'll give you the feeling of the competition, right?
Of inclusion.
Yeah, you'll feel included.
So look at this. So this was the sticker on my Apple.
What does that say?
It's a polar bear.
Is that a polar
bear? What I want to know, it's a polar bear like waving hello, and it's like the cutest, like big-eyed polar bear ever. Like, what marketing intern was sitting there? They're like, "Yo, we gotta sell more green apples in Mexico."
Yeah, it's like what goes well with apples? Polar bears.
Oh, shit. Let's put a
bear.
polar bear on an apple in Mexico. That's gonna get people to buy it more.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know about you guys, but when I think of Mexico, like almost immediately, I think polar bear.
Like you wonder like what leads to these marketing decisions. I walk around every single day and I'm always like analyzing the marketing and stuff like that.
It's like a psychologist doing word association with the young Jeffrey Dahmer. Polar bear. Apple, Jeffrey. Apple. Polar bear. Okay, next one. Mexico. Polar bear. This kid's off.
Polar bear.
Yeah, this kid's off. The parents. Polar bear freezer.
Do we want to do an experiment? I've always wanted to do this on a podcast. I want to see what it sounds like to take a big juicy bite out of an apple into a mic.
Amber's already covering her ears. I'm gonna be quiet.
Give me a countdown. Give me a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, that was very wholesome. And even the of the juice and everything. Amber is crazy. I love it. Apologies to our listeners with like sensory stuff that are like right now.
Hey, do we need to put a trigger warning in the title?
Disturbing sound effects included.
Yeah, you polar bear.
We're trying to set the record for the biggest waste of time ever on a podcast. We're trying to outdo ourselves. This is what I mean when I say 1% better. You know what I'm saying? It's like 1% better at doing everything wrong at podcasting every single time.
Yes.
This is what you mean by 1% better?
Including showing a sticker from a piece of fruit to an audio-only production.
Oh my gosh! So from my perspective,
you know why I showed the sticker, because I wanted to distract from Ren's story talking about the Y Bell or whatever it is, because they didn't pay us anything. We're not advertising.
Maybe awesome, they will after this.
They might after my huge big giveaway. that's already
Big plug.
happened as of the the time airing of this podcast.
If you don't pay me, I'm not talking about you on this podcast.
Don't be. Well, that's the reason we talk about you, Jonathan. So we've had news this week, right? First, well, I've had news, but it's about you guys, but not Amber. But Amber's going to run the show today, so that's fine. She's got her own segment of the show. She basically wrote this show today. But so Jonathan, on your end, I see you've not slept. Tell us a bit about that. And I'm not saying from visibly looking at you now. I mean, I saw your story. You got apple in your mouth. Okay, Jonathan's full of apple, which is better than the alternative. So, Keto, in on your side of the from my perspective, so I'm listening to a phenomenal book. The book is audiobook, obviously, because books don't talk. I'm listening just to clear that up. I want to throw myself in the Jeffrey Dahmer category. What does the book sound like, Ren? Polar bear. So I'm listening to Jeffrey Dahmer is like a notorious serial killer who ate people. He ate people.
What does that have to do with polar bear stickers on apples?
No, I was talking about it's like a word association for a psychopath. Apple, polar bear. Mexico.
That is a
polar
stretch. That is a stretch.
It's funny though because I got it. I got the reference.
Keto got it. Jonathan, you're supposed to be eating an apple anyway. Like, why are you not eating right now?
You're sleep deprived. You don't talk right now.
Yeah, you don't get to say anything. Anyway, I'm listening to the phenomenal book that is Strong Women Lift Each Other Up. It's by our friend of the show, Molly Gilbreth. Pretty good book, I must say. I'm listening to it when I'm working. And she mentions Catalina. And I'm like, oh my God, I know her. Now, I know Molly also, but for some reason, it just seemed, it seemed more important to me that Keto got mentioned in the book. Because I'm like, well, I know her. As if, I don't know, like I didn't know that I knew Catalina and like I didn't know. But Keto, when you heard the mention, you've read the book, you knew you were going to be in it, obviously, I'm guessing.
Right.
Like did the mayor, respect your influence as he was he excited about the fact that you were can you talk to us a little bit about that, because we're riveted by this story. We all want to know.
So it was really funny because I got the book. I haven't listened to the audiobook, but I got the actual book, and I'm like flipping through, trying to find my name, like page by page. And then I'm very easily distracted. So I'm like, oh, screw it, I'll come back to it later. And I just kind of forgot. And then I would like try again. And then I would, the kids. And then I would get distracted. And then this man, because of course his brain functions like an actual normal human being, he goes and he grabs the book and he opens it at the very end, where all the names of all the keywords of the book are listed, and my name is right there. And so he jumps to the exact pages where I mentioned. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, I feel really dumb right now.
It's literally how books work.
Literally how books work.
I have the PDF too. Molly sent me an early copy, so I have the PDF. So you could have asked me. I could have just done a Command F and found your name.
Well, thank you, everyone. You're so helpful. I'm there flipping like a maniac. I'm like, where am I?
Guys, Molly didn't pay us anything, so we got to stop talking about
it. We love you, Molly.
We've already said too much. And but what an awesome guide it is. Like it's just kind of course-ish. It's just kind of like a course, and I really enjoyed it. So Jonathan, back to your sleep deprivation.
I really enjoyed it as well.
It's a really good book. It's a really good book.
She did an unreal job with it. The message is really important.
It really is. It really is. It's really actionable. And you know what's so funny? So we're also recording after the Grammys have happened, and there's the Grammys have happened, Jonathan. Do you have more apple that you eat? Is there a second apple that you can turn to for a minute?
One sec.
Yeah, somebody. There you go. Good for you, Jonathan. I feel like I need to distract him somehow, like my little baby cousin. I give him a disconnected PlayStation controller, so that every once in a while I turn to him. Hey, you doing good, bud? That's what I'm gonna do to Jonathan. Keep eating that apple, Jonathan. You're doing good, buddy. Right.
John ever.
Yep.
One of my better analogies. Somebody throw another apple across the border.
That's literally what all of our staff do to me too. They understand that they are so much better than me at everything that our company does that all that they need to do is just distract me with visuals and like put me off into a corner, and then they just come in. And then they just come in and just make everything better and like rewrite it all and do it all, and I'm just like keeping me busy to keep me out of the way.
This is awesome. So I don't even know what I was about to say, but it was going to be something phenomenal. But in any case,
the Grammys.
That's right. So the Grammys came out. The Grammys aired between the time we did our last podcast and this podcast, and apparently there was an appearance by Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes.
And this happens like right after I finished Molly's book. And I got to tell you, man, the ladies on the internet have not been kind to Megan so far this week. The judgment.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, we got to get books out to these people.
Yes.
Megan?
So, what do you so Megan has a song, Jonathan. It's called the acronym is WAP. Or WAP, depending on what region of the world you live in, and it stands for something vulgar that probably somebody needs to type into the comments here so you can read what it is.
No,
Yeah,
you should put the video.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain it explicitly on the podcast today or ever, but in any case, there's a bit of innuendo involved in the song. And subsequently in the performance. And what I noticed, and Keto, feel free to chime in.
It's like that song Anaconda that I just realized was not about the anaconda.
It's not about an anaconda, actually. That's very good, Jonathan.
My anaconda don't want none.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It's like, I thought it just wanted like some jackfruit or something.
No. That's not what that anaconda wants, Jonathan. Why do I feel like I'm having this conversation with my grandfather?
Yes.
You're like 15 years younger than me, for God's sakes.
I gotta go to that street slang website again.
Please, across the board, the PTDC community, whoever can block sites from Jonathan Goodman's internet, please restrict him from Reddit and from the street slang site.
So Ren,
from now on, is that
yes.
like they submit words for him to read from Urban Dictionary?
Right.
Terrifying.
Mail that in. Keto, I'm sorry, you were about to say?
I was going to say that basically, Ren, what you're saying is that what you have witnessed after the Grammy presentation, after their performance, is internalized misogyny.
Absolutely. The women have been coming at Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion hard this week, and nowhere did I see commentary about the obvious male executives who run the network that allowed the airing of the actual show that they did. And I was just like, we got to get some Strong Women Lift Each Other Up books out to this. I got to push the narrative here. I got to really get out and sell this book. So I am now the president of the Strong Women Lift Each Other Up marketing end, and so I won't be on the podcast next week, Jonathan. I'll be doing a cross-country tour with Molly's book. Me and Casey Sasek are going to hit the road, and we're just going to promote. Yeah, we're going to promote. Casey's a swell dude, and he's American. He doesn't like hockey like I don't, so that resonates with me. So
he's the most traditionally American man.
My God, down to his look, I love it. He's a stereotype.
He's a strapping 6-foot-something
yes.
white American collegiate football player who owns a liquor store.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Who used to hunt different types of animal pelts when he was young on ATVs. There is literally nothing that you can say that is more American than what I just described.
Has he told you about his pet raccoon? The pet raccoon, they had a pet raccoon growing up and stuff. And he's like, shut it down. Like, he's the most American of all Americans.
Oh, man.
He was on the cover of the magazine, Fish, Fur, and Gay magazine.
Was he really?
He was on the cover of that magazine, yeah.
Wow.
In any case, good book. Jonathan, you ready to talk about your sleep now? We've got to get into. We actually have subject matter today, but
Yes,
what's
do.
going on with the sleep? Is it just you? Is it Calvin not sleeping? What's going on there?
Well, Calvin's just waking up like so many times through the night, and it's beating the crap out of me. That's
Yeah.
how many words I have.
No, but eloquently put, Jonathan.
Yeah.
If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see what Jonathan's saying because he's a bit strapped for cash right now, so to speak. He's a bit worn. He's a bit worn. So he'll be phoning in the second half.
It's very clear. It's very clear from his appearance.
Right.
That Jonathan Goodman has not bathed in some time.
Yeah. It's bled into other parts of his life clearly. So Amber, the one that works here, the one that's here with us, Amber.
Amber.
She did some stuff early in the
Yeah.
week. I don't know how she does it all. I really don't.
I don't either. It's quite
but-
impressive, really.
Yeah, she's awake all the time, for what I can tell. Or there's multiple Ambers. This is why I thought that there were two different Ambers. Because before I understood the name change, I was like, well, Amber Bonham is doing stuff, and Amber Reynolds is too. Like, they're both high-ranking, participants in the and until somebody said, "Oh, that's the same person." And I was like, "My God, like this is incredible." But she does stuff, and she wrote a really great post about something that I've had a lot of conversations with our students and some graduates about the idea that people just aren't buying coaching right now, right? It's for multiple reasons. The sun is out or it's in, it's cloudy or it's not, it's raining or it isn't. It's a pandemic, but it's not. Like, for whatever reason, people just aren't buying right now. So Amber, what led you to write? So was this a conversation you had with a coach as a mentor in the OTA, or where did it come from?
I have a weekly call with this particular student, and we've been talking for, I don't know, probably a year. And he's doing great, and was talking with other coaches, and that was a comment. Like, his business had a little bit of a slow season, and he was talking to the coaches, and like, oh, like, people just aren't buying right now. And I was like, probably not. Like, he wanted to know what my thoughts were. And I know his business, and I know him, and everything that kind of goes on. So I knew that wasn't the answer. And so that is a question that we get all the time. And in fact, I had the same conversation with someone else earlier today.
Really?
It's like, I want to raise my prices, but like, nobody's buying. No. There's more to it than that. Very rarely is the answer people just aren't buying right now.
The answer is not. The problem is not people. I think it's what you're saying.
Yeah.
The problem is not that there's this fog in the ether that is surrounding people in a cloud of I'm not buying.
Right.
You're watching Frozen 2 again?
No, I have never seen I saw Frozen. I've never seen Frozen 2. And to be completely honest, like, I didn't make it all the way through Frozen.
Come on, Jonathan.
I went on my phone. I went on my
Blasphemy.
phone midway through.
Blasphemy.
Jonathan, I can't believe that. That's just so. I mean, I don't even know what to say right now. How could you not make it through Frozen? It was so good. I saw Frozen in the theater. I have no children. Put that together whichever way you want to. It was an awesome movie. In any case,
Glenn's just in the back, just all the kids that have been on his lawn. He just sits in the back of Frozen with popcorn and just throws it at their heads.
I was singing at the top of my lungs, man. I was there like half of and she got back. First, I my lungs. And Jonathan, your comments never bothered me anyway. So Amber wrote this.
I just let it go anyway. Man. I just let it go.
Oh, good.
You gotta let it go. So Amber wrote this piece, this op-ed for the Online Trainer Academy students and grads group. Was it in Online Trainers Unite also? I can't. Okay, she posted it everywhere.
Just students and grads.
So this thing's been plastered all over the internet virtually, and it's quite telling. So Amber, as you address that student, you also addressed, some ways to sort of circumvent these issues, these perceived issues. Is that correct? Is that what happened?
It's just basically a checklist. Like if you're starting to feel like nobody's buying, like here's your quick checklist to make sure that you're doing all of the right things before blaming something that is out of your control. So that was just the idea behind the post.
I love it. I love it. So are you? I guess the point of this podcast today is that you're going to share some of these things with us, and we'll distract you from the list, obviously, and talk over you as you do it. Sounds like an event to me that I want to participate in. So let's get it going, Amber. What's number one on the list here?
All right. So make sure it's abundantly clear who you help and with what. What's funny about this one is as we've rolled out one of the version 4 upgrades to our existing students and grads, where we have the built-in exercises in the Student Success Center. And one of the exercises is the social media audit. So where we're going through looking at one of their social media pages and providing feedback, because that's an area that most people struggle with. And without exception so far, this is an issue. Like, it is not clear who you help and what you're helping them with, or that you're open for business. Like, it is just like you're talking into wind. So it needs to be like painfully clear in everything, on your social media and all of that stuff. So make it very clear.
I'm not laughing at the students, obviously, but it's just ironic to me. You said without exception, pretty much literally everybody's not doing this. Now, Keto, we never know who you're talking to in your social media. We're totally confused. I don't know if you're talking to guys or girls or bodybuilders, Olympic athletes. Jonathan, are you still eating that apple? You've eaten that apple as slowly as a human can eat an apple. Shout out to Dr. Berardi. I'm sure he's happy that you're eating slowly and with intention. But man, I can't believe you're still eating that one apple. Continue to notice the name, Jonathan. We'll talk while you chew. So Keto, do you find that you target very specifically your audience? Tell us about that, Keto.
I do target my audience. I gotta be totally honest though. I go through periods of time in which when I don't have like a program that's gonna be coming out anytime soon, I have to use my platforms for the other stuff that matters to me. Like, for example, lately I've been talking a lot about the feminist movement in Mexico, and it's mostly post in Spanish because it's geared towards my family and friends in Mexico. But that matters to me, and it's stuff that I need to share and that I need to talk about. And it's not relevant to my target audience, and that's okay in that period of time, because I'm not working towards anything right now. And I know that some people like to keep their page entirely business oriented most of the time, and that's totally okay. Like, if that's more your jam, that's totally fine. But for me to be able to enjoy any social media platform, I have to sprinkle in the stuff that makes me me as a human. And that includes certain social causes that I'm very passionate about.
So I'm going to defer to Jonathan really quickly if he's not chewing the apple. And then I'll get right back to Amber. But Jonathan, whatever. I disagree with Carol. I think that is targeting her audience. Her passions. And I don't actually disagree with it, but you know what I'm saying. What are your thoughts there? Like, as she addresses the things that we know that is very Keto-ish, isn't that still sort of speaking to her audience?
Yes.
Hey, great answer, Jonathan.
Thank you for your insight. That was masterful. Thank you.
That's amazing. Any elaboration or maybe a second word in your sentence? Are you pretty much tapped out after that level of eloquence?
Yeah, I think that.
All right, good job.
Yeah.
All right, so Amber, what's number 2 on the list? We've gotten all the water out of this well that I think we're going to get.
I think this is where the OTA ad's supposed to come in.
Right. I'm looking for my paper now. Amber, take us to number 2 if you don't mind.
So I'll actually skip ahead because of what Carol brought up. So that you're sharing who you are as a human just as often as you're sharing who you are as a coach.
Well, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. We're so in sync, and I didn't even know it. But of course, we're in sync.
Right. Well, I'd actually read the list prior to the podcast, and I knew that you probably didn't get those. Yeah, so,
you did work before the
yeah,
show?
right.
Oh, man. Wow. No.
So I guess
I don't. No.
steer this thing around. I knew the list would be new and shocking to you, Keto.
Surprise.
Yeah. But you're our reactionary, segment of the show, right? We get to see an authentic reaction to new content that we've talked about excessively before the podcast when you come on. It's part of the charm of the show. So we get a real reaction for you. So Amber, so what's next? What's next?
You've created the appropriate solution to their problem.
Oh, here we go.
So
Now
we'll
what?
often see students create something that they want to create, but not solve the problem their ideal client has. Like they want to share what they're excited about, which can have a time and place in a program, but that's not what you're selling. So like I saw a student when I was doing one of the social media feedback things, they are targeting clients, like their USP is helping millennials get booty gains. But then like their content is about like mental wellness. Right? So, like, sure, they could be connected, but like if you're targeting people who want to create a cute booty, like most of your content, and your program should be focused on solving that problem for them. So often there's a mismatch going on.
So do you think that sometimes what happens with the students is they want a USP that sounds good, but it's not something that they're really interested in?
They're not interested in. It's what they think is right. It's a lack of really understanding their ideal client's problems. So they may know high level, but not like the nitty gritty details and really know how to dig into it.
Right. You want to immerse yourself in a community of people that want booty gains, so you can speak their language. I feel like I need to go back to ghetto.
Well, I just want to call out what I think is like the one really, really valuable point there is saying what you think is right.
Yes.
I think we need to dwell on that for a few seconds.
Yes.
So you guys can go ahead and do that.
Yes.
Well, I zone out again. No, it's saying what you think is right, or what you think is like the biggest opportunity, is inarguably the biggest mistake that our entire community makes.
100%.
That sets them down the wrong path and gets them frustrated. That leads them to the point of saying, people are not buying right now.
Right.
It's like, well, I mean, people are buying something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's buying something. This is interesting because I had a conversation today with a student whose USP was it was poetry. Not poetry, literally the subject of poetry, but the way that it was worded sounded amazing, right? And I was like, now what does it mean actually? And they were like, well, I'm not. It means that they're going to feel, more. I was like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything, doesn't it? They were like, no, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right, it doesn't. And trying to say something that's your USP is not the spot for Pulitzer Prize winning articulation of your thoughts, right? Like you just want the people that you're talking to know that you're talking to them. Mm-hmm. Then you want to talk about what their problem or pain point is. Then you want to talk about how they're going to feel when you solve it. And maybe talk a little bit about how you're going to do it, maybe. But it doesn't have to be like super complicated. It doesn't have to be incredibly poetic and artistic, the language that you use to convey it. And and it goes back to the analogy from a previous episode. If you're selling courses in a foreign language, you got to sell the course in the native language, so people understand that you're selling courses for the foreign language. Like you can't talk in that language and expect people to understand it. That's really interesting. That the way you worded it, Amber, and I can't remember what did she say, Jonathan? What did you just say? Want to say the right thing, wanting to say the right thing, whatever that is. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought in the middle of that. I got distracted by Jonathan.
That's fine. This is Amber's episode. She's got a few more. Just switch back to her.
Jonathan, where's your podcast cat, by the way? I thought we had a podcast cat now.
He's cheating on me.
All
He
right.
was with somebody else. I think the cat just cozies up to whoever's in like that seat at the back.
Okay.
'Cause he was cozying up to somebody else, and I was laughing today. I showed him the picture yesterday of the cat on top of me.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, Amber. Please continue.
You've made it clear that you're open for business and have done so consistently.
Oh, well, here we go.
It's the sandwich shop analogy. Let's talk about that one again.
Yeah.
If you're gonna sell a sandwich, you follow?
Yeah.
If you're gonna sell a sandwich, I'm talking about this in my greatest Jewish grandfather Yiddish voice.
I was like, oh, you sound like Seinfeld.
Hey, if you're gonna sell a sandwich,
You sound like the guy from Coming to America.
well, that's the joke. He's like an old
Yiddish
Jewish
joke.
guy.
Yeah.
Waiter, try the soup. What's wrong with the soup, sir? Is there something wrong with the soup? Try the soup. What's wrong with the soup? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Try the soup. Fine. Where's your spoon? Aha. So, if you're gonna sell a sandwich, does it not make sense to have a sign that says sandwiches for sale and the door unlocked and the blinds up? How else would somebody know that you're selling a sandwich?
Nobody's going to know. No.
Ain't nobody knows. If you got your blinds down, you don't have a sign, and your door is locked, ain't nobody gonna buy that sandwich.
Nobody.
The problem is not people aren't buying. The problem is that they literally don't know that they can.
They don't know they can buy. Kiddo, what's your enrollment cycle like? Is it sort of free? Do you enroll when you sort of feel it, or do you have a cycle of enroll? Like how do you let people know that you're enrolling?
So having a cycle of enrollment sounds like way more planning than I would ever do for anything in my life. It sounds like it involves like calendars and like actual planners and stuff. And no, I don't do that. So basically what happens is like anything else in my life is like, oh, I think I'm ready for it. I feel like having new clients. And then it's like, okay, let's do this. And then I just kind of like randomly point, and I clap happily. And then I randomly point at a point, like at a date on the calendar. And I'm like, that seems like a good Monday to start. Like, why not, right? And then I work it back. And it's like, okay, so I know that the month before I started warming him up and all the messaging and the quotes and all this stuff, all the messaging that I want. And then that's it. I have clients. Shabam. The end.
So much thinking about that.
This is the most kiddo thing that I've heard in a long time. Thank you for that, kiddo. I appreciate your authenticity. But I enroll the same week of every month. Last week of every month is enrollment for me. But both work. That I talked to a person today, Amber, that was concerned about getting clients, and the last enrollment was January of last year. And I was like, you'll want it to be a bit more frequent than that.
Maybe, depending on their life. But yeah, I mean, some people may do quarterly or whatever. But yeah, if you want more clients than once every couple months, you might want to ask a little more often.
If you got some pastrami, that pastrami's gonna have gone bad by then. What's up?
So, just a disclaimer on that is that even though I'm not enrolling, I do continue talking about fitness and nutrition. So I do tend to stay on brand, and I guess that's what allows me to not entirely fall off the radar in all that. Even if months go by in between the times that I'm getting actual clients in, it doesn't matter because I'm still talking about the fact that I coach and the fact that I have clients. Anything that comes up in my personal life that I find challenging, for example, with a workout, I relate it and this is one of the things that I tackle with my coaching clients, even if I'm not actively coaching clients in that moment. So you just keep it fresh in people's minds that this is what I do for a living.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, you've been at this how many years now, kiddo?
Online coach, I would say online just around 7 years, 7 or 8.
that provides a certain amount of grace for what you do online, and Jonathan spoke to that earlier in a post that he did. We'll talk about that another time. But it takes a while to build your brand, but after about 7 years, you can sort of get away with not being so consistently on task in terms of your brand. Sorry for the interruption, Amber. Please continue.
Are you saying that after being in business for 10 years, you can eat an apple on a podcast and that's okay?
That's exactly what we're not saying anything else besides that, Jonathan.
You're basically saying that I have owned the right to phone it in, is what you're saying.
That's exactly what we're saying. I don't know how it's different from any other podcast episode. So go ahead, Amber. Take us home.
You know how to communicate the value of what you do in a way that is meaningful and benefit focused for your ideal client.
That's good.
So if you don't know how to communicate what you do, it's a problem, right? So like you can't just say, well, I write workout programs and offer nutrition advice. Like they can Google that, they can go down to the grocery store, get a magazine with a workout program. And if they would follow it, chances are they'd probably make some progress. But if you can find a way to communicate what you offer in a way that is meaningful towards your ideal client, of course they're going to want to do that instead of, the typical stuff that they've already tried and failed.
Absolutely. Jonathan, you have a point?
I just wanted to say yes.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you, Keto. The visual yes. We've got an audio and a visual yes so far. So I think that means, Amber, you can continue. I can't remember how many items are on the list. Please,
got a few more.
Please feel free to continue.
All right. You're continually building relationships with people, both ideal clients and non-ideal clients. If you're not talking to people, like if you ask us, hey, I'm not getting clients, our first question would be like, have you actually talked to anybody, today? Mm-hmm. Like, there's just no way to be in our line of work without building relationships.
This speaks expressly to the social media versus media sort of conundrum, right? Like you get a lot of, I don't want to demonize the whole section of coaches, but there are people who will say nobody's engaging with my content, and my reply is always, who are you engaging with, right? Yeah. Conversation is a game of tennis. Like, you just only hit the ball and then walk off the court. So a lot of times people aren't building any type of relationship because they don't see immediate conversion value in the person that they're talking with, and that's a huge mistake. Yeah. You can't put a sales conversion tag on every single thing that you do on the internet or anywhere. Nobody's buying. Well, but you had a really great conversation with another human, and now you understand each other better. You're getting data about how people think and what makes them tick, and you're branding yourself as another human, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. You've got to make that communication a two-way street.
How random and lucky basically every bit of success is.
Right.
Success is about putting yourself in the best possible position to catch a lucky break. It's nothing other than that. Every single good thing that's happened to me in my life has been a direct result of a number of indirect actions that if you pace it back, you're like, how the heck did this person get to know me? Well, like, this person got to know me and give me this opportunity because I spoke to that person and then put out this thing, and then they bought that thing, and then they did this thing, and then they did this thing, and that happened over 3 years, and now I have this opportunity.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly
and
right.
And like you working, everything's a Steve Jobs quote. So like, this is a Steve Jobs quote. It's really easy to connect the dots moving backwards.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's really good. I wonder what James Clear would say about that.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, but it would probably be profound. Much less words, too. Back
James
to the
Clear is like the new Abraham Lincoln. It's like every single quote is, no matter who said it, like every single wise thing is Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, now I know how to troll you.
Yeah. I like the Abraham Lincoln quotes or whatever Abraham Lincoln said.
Yeah.
So, Amber, take us through. Like, what's next here? Good point, by the way. What else is on the list?
You're to build on that one. You're growing your network and participating in places your ideal client may be.
Now I've gotten a lot of feedback about this one. I don't know if you guys are in the OTA thing.
Yep.
Well, I went in the group like Ren said, and somebody didn't like me in the group when I commented, or I went in the group and did a video like Ren said, and somebody put me out of the group. I get a lot of feedback for that one, but you're kind of sort of missing the point of what you're doing. Again, everything's not a conversion. You just don't know who's seeing what, but you limit your opportunities when you're not participating.
Exactly.
Be much more focused on the participation. It's so funny. I met Keto before we ever did this podcast randomly through Molly Galbraith, and I could have met her, and in Toronto at the OTA thing, but it was just a set of circumstances of being in certain places, having conversations with certain people, so that I didn't like meet her on the podcast. I had some awareness of what type of person she was. You just don't know until you participate in life, right?
Yeah.
What can happen?
Show up.
Show up as yourself. Because I could have been a jerk when I met her the first time. I could have been a jerk in Toronto. I could have been a jerk to Jonathan. When my first interaction with him, not really having a great understanding of who he was and how he connected to the OTA at the time. I'll let you continue.
If you try to market yourself in some way that is not true to yourself, it will eventually fail.
It's train wreck.
You can't pretend. I'm goofy. I'm all over the place. I'm very scatterbrained. Right?
Hot mess, John?
Yes.
Well, right now I am. Yeah, right now I am.
Because I
But I
have
also
a
have
perfect coach for you.
You're a candidate for
Yeah,
this program right now.
I also have this very weird dad dry humor, and
Agreed.
and if I tried to pretend, I mean that's one of the things that I really like that I'm really liking about podcasting. We're on episode 90 now or something. You cannot. There is no way that you can do this many hours of conversation,
Right.
and pretend to be something that you're not.
Right.
People listening,
Right.
if you've listened from episode 1 on to here, you've gotten to know us more like how we really are, because despite our best efforts, we just can't pretend this long.
The charade is done.
We apologize for that.
And so, what is it? What is it about yourself that's fun? I was listening to this thing with Shaquille O'Neal talking about, he had marketing coaches who were trying to, as he was coming into the NBA, trying to get him to be something he wasn't. And his dad was like, you can't market something you're not.
Right.
That's not going to last.
Yeah.
What are you?
100%.
And Shaquille and Shaq is I'm the Shaq daddy. I'm funny. And that's what he built his brand in the NBA on. And I mean, he has one of the best, if not the best, brands in the history of the NBA.
Tremendous brand across the board.
And he's just unabashedly himself.
Yeah.
Right?
So-
And it's hilarious. They ask him about Kobe in an interview and he doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, oh, these muffins you guys try these muffins. He just starts talking about muffins in the interview because he doesn't want to talk about Kobe. And it's the funniest interview ever.
Jonathan Goodman's school of question answering.
100%.
For sure. Amber, what we got next? I don't know how much time I'm not monitoring the time. Oh, it's 2:00.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
We'll speed through. You're doing a darn good job of making sure people know about it. I mean, so one of the foundations of the Online Trainer Academy is that. So if nobody knows what kind of work you do, it's hard for them to want to trust you and to want to work with you.
I love it. I won't interrupt again. Please continue.
Last one. You're asking for testimonials and referrals from past and current clients. there's often a big fear about asking for feedback, asking for testimonials that I love you all, but suck it up. You have to ask. You have to be prepared for feedback. You can't get better if you don't know. But if you've worked with these people, hopefully they love working with you and would be happy to share, everything that you do. But you can't expect them to do it if you don't ask.
So I have a comment on that one. And because this is a personal experience, I know for a fact that I have struggled in the past to ask for a testimonial from clients with whom I feel that I did not give it my all.
Right.
Clients with whom I feel like I fell short. Those are the ones that I'm like, oh, but it's on me because I know that I didn't do my best. And we all have those clients, guys. If you're listening, like, it's fine. You'll get better. But just be aware, like, there's a reason why it's never happened to you. Never, ever. No. Jonathan is perfect. That's your reminder. But like, that's a good kind of like call out to yourself, right? It's like, why are you fearing going back for a testimonial of your good work? Is it because maybe you didn't do great work? Maybe, I don't know. Check in with yourself. And if that's the case, then course correct so that you're really freaking proud and you have no qualms about asking people, because there's no shame whatsoever.
With that being said, make sure that, ask anyway, right? Because we tend to tell ourselves stories that
you're right. Yes, absolutely
not be true. So
yes, they might be totally fine.
So they may have had a fantastic time, and you might be missing out on something. So ask no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting for referrals. I like to ask in the beginning, and obviously testimonials at the end, if not the middle. But I really like to get referrals, and I know it's not a show about that, but I really like to get referrals during the sort of the honeymoon phase of the purchase.
Yes.
Because there's always, like, the best time to ask someone about a restaurant is when right after they eaten there their first time. 20th time they say, "Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. You should try it out." But as it's introduced to them, so when my client is happy and satisfied and they paid and they're excited, I say, "Hey, you know what? Keto, I love your energy. If you happen to know anybody like you that I can contact before this referral period, before this enrollment period ends, which ends on Sunday, just shoot me a name and like an Instagram handle or Facebook. Tell them that I'm going to reach out to them, or better yet, we can do like a group messenger. You just add me to the group and I'll just introduce myself. Absolutely cool, because when people when they've just invested and they're excited, before they're absolutely tired of my nonsense after like 3 months or 4 months. Like, I don't care who it is. Like, when you get deep into it with the client, man, they're kind of just sort of tired of you. It's not that they don't love you. You're doing a great job.
Podcast, right?
Yeah, same with the podcast. Like, after a while, people just kind of, it was funny for a while. It was cute for a bit.
You're like this co-host thing was kind of a good idea for a little while.
And now it's like, well, I'm thinking about doing a podcast and inviting Jonathan on. What would you say? It's all right. How detailed is your outline? First of all, do you have questions, backup questions, and
when people send me, ask Bobby whenever people send me, like, somebody asks me to be on a podcast and I say yes. And people send me this like long, okay, can you fill out this like 20 question
podcast questionnaire?
And then here's what we're going to talk about. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not doing any of that. Like, this is not. If you want to know about me, you can do your research. Like, that's cool. But I'm not taking an extra 3 hours of my time to do your research for you to be on your podcast for free. I'm not.
You're applying to podcast college. I've gotten several of those questionnaires from podcasts that I've been on with other people. And I'm like, it'll be way more fun if you just ask me the questions that I don't know that you're going to ask me. Like, I don't need the prep. I promise you. I'll make it up on the spot. It's much more entertaining. But that was a sidebar. Amber, I love this list. It's really comprehensive. Now, the people that have this list is going to be attached to the show notes, I'm guessing. Can we? Listeners,
Maybe
to Brad yet. Let's get Jonathan will type it up. He'll put it in the show notes. Thanks, Jonathan. He's got energy in
There's that
reserve.
busy work for him.
Yeah, he's got energy in reserve from all the things that he didn't do on the show today. So
I think I fell asleep with my eyes open. Now, what am I doing? Do I have to do something?
Never mind, Jonathan. We'll get somebody else to do it. Amber, have
good.
Amber Bonham do it. She's available. The dual Ambers. So hopefully we've answered some of your questions, solved some of your problems in regards to thinking that nobody's buying right now, because everybody's buying sometime. Like, plenty of people are buying everything, and it's just not the truth. Furthermore, it's not verbiage that you want to articulate. You don't want to. Everything that you say, think about it in terms of your business as if you just rubbed a genie lamp, right? And the genie comes out and says, "What is your wish?" And you say, "People aren't buying right now." You don't want to do that, man. Don't speak those things over your business. It's not good. It's bad juju, man. The juju's just bad. You don't want that bad juju all over.
Did you guys ever eat jujubes when you were young?
We had juju bees. Juju bees. They
I
were
never
tasty.
did.
Jujubes. They're like this. They're kind of like jelly bean-esque things.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They're
I
pretty
hate
tasty.
jelly
Yeah.
beans.
The longer ones. Keto, by the way, I watched Coco last night. Is the ofrenda, is that a real thing?
Yes, we do that. We do here at home. Yeah.
That was such a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Amber. I know we're not concentrating on ending the show, but it was such a great movie last night. It helped me dive a little bit into the culture that I did not understand. It was a very heartwarming movie, by the way.
It is. It's beautiful.
But really, I asked, can you put me on your ofrenda just in case?
I'll hook you up, man.
Yeah,
You will never be forgotten.
I want to be on that too.
Yeah, I want to be able to cross the bridge on El Dia de los Muertos to come back and visit mi familia.
For a very modest monthly amount, we can totally guarantee that you'll be set up in the afterlife.
Oh my gosh! For the low price of just $29.95. So watch Coco if you haven't, America. And, all the people that are not sort of well versed on the culture. Great movie. In any case, starting at just $87 a month for 12 months, the Online Training Academy is the smartest career investment you'll ever make. Join today. Show notes can be found at Online Train. Oh, you can join us at the Online Trainer Academy at onlinetrainer.com/OTA. Show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. It's been a pleasure to bring you this unspectacular production of the Online Trainer Show today.
I think all things considered, we did good.
Our alternative title for today's show is Jonathan Eats an Apple. So we'll see you next time on the Online Trainer Show. Maybe. Oh, you down to the core. Very good, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Good job. You got one serving of fruit today. You only got 4 more according to Precision Nutrition Standards. What was I saying? Oh, jingle. Jingle.
The jingle today is "Let It Go, Let It Go."
Cold never bothered me anyway, Jonathan.
Music from the second one was even better, though.
You think so? It was pretty good.
Yes, we really like that soundtrack. We
Nice.
listen all the time.
I heard the second one was pretty dark.
Well, yeah,
It
because
was
they grew up, and like
it's
the
a little
people
heavier.
one have grown up a little bit.
Yeah, it's
But it is
a little,
Right.
the subject matter's a bit heavy, but it's still an enjoyable presentation.
Calvin's still at the age where he gets really, really scared watching movies and TV. Like anything that happens, he's like, "I'm scared," and I kind of like that because then he like cuddles up into me. So I purposefully just turn on, like, we watch The Matrix with him, like, yes, get scared.
Oh man!
Right.
Follow Jonathan Goodman for more child psychology tips.
Remember when we went to Mexico and Nate was with us, and you got to snuggle with Nate, and you're like, good, because my son doesn't snuggle, but Nate likes to
Oh yeah, it
snuggle.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate was a little cuddler. It was fun. He was so small then too.
Oh my gosh! Calvin looks like he's 21 years old now. Every time I see the picture,
He has a mustache. So
it's hereditary.
he's getting
for
the
sure.
the Goodman family mustache. It's these Eastern European Jewish genes. It's like the second I shave, I walk out of the bathroom. It's like, Pop. The beard comes back out. There's just no point.
Oh man.
All right, I gotta go, kiddos.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.